Good morning, Service Alliance community. How y'all
Good morning,
doing
everybody.
today? Adam. I haven't
Morning,
been on
Zach.
a podcast with you.
No, you haven't. This is the first time we've been on together.
It's good to be chatting with you today.
It is. Yes, it will be.
I believe TK's out doing a family thing today.
Yeah, he said he was going on vacation.
Yeah. Good morning, Eric.
Morning, Eric.
Good morning, Doug.
Morning, Doug.
Good to see you guys. Well, we are talking about what's that?
How's your week been?
It's been a week. It's been a week.
I agree. We're going on day 2 of no phones. Our phone company won't tell us what happened, but they have no phone coverage right now.
No bueno.
Yeah.
And it's not related to the storms that y'all took last night.
Nope, it started Wednesday night. So
phone companies are good for that.
Yeah, so yesterday was a quiet day, and I think today is going to be a quiet day around our store.
Fair enough. Yep. Well, we're talking about the habits that we have to have daily as owners. And so I am not as prepared as I normally would be. TK asked me to do this, and I've been prepping for tomorrow's mastermind. So I'm a little scattered today, but we'll
get to it.
Out of it. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we'll make it good anyways.
You want to pray us up, and we'll dive into what we're talking about.
Father, I'd like to thank you for being here today and having Zach here with us and having everybody watching us. I would like to say a prayer for everybody's businesses and hope that their weeks went good and that they have a nice, peaceful weekend and rest up for next week, and that everybody's businesses are doing good, and that we just have a good week starting next week. Thank you.
Amen. Oh, look, Mike joining us. Good morning, Mike.
Morning, Mike.
Good to see you, buddy. So as owners, right, Doug and I kind of talked about that shift from technician mindset into the owner's mindset. And part of that shift is the daily habits, right?
Yep.
We have to have these daily habits that help us to propel not only ourselves, but the team as well.
Yep.
And so, like, the first part of that is beginning your day with the big picture and not putting out fires. And I know that that's such a hard thing sometimes, right? Like
Monday mornings, especially.
You open the store, you open the office, and the fires just start pouring in, right? And so before we let that noise affect our day, we have to kind of focus. And this starts even further back. Did we set our goals? Did we set our vision for the company? Did we create that stuff? And so it's easier to focus on the vision, to focus on the big picture when we have that in place already. Adam, do you have a vision for the company? Do you have a...
I wish I could say I did. I don't have any of that stuff in place. I have a vision in my head where I want it to go, but I don't have anything down on paper. And every time we try, we get sidetracked and something comes up where we don't finish it. So unfortunately, I don't have any of that down on paper.
Yeah, so you get stuck in that fire loop, right?
Yep.
So the best way, and this is kind of what Doug and I have talked about, is you take those slow times of the year, the times that you know are slow for you, wherever in the country you are. That can be a different thing. And if you're running a store like Adam, that can be an even different thing, right?
Yep.
And so you pick that slow time and you begin to solidify that vision so that daily you can look at that and go, what are we doing today that's going to serve this big picture, this vision for the company going forward? Reviewing metrics daily, our KPIs daily, is an important part of having this owner's mindset, because if we're just thinking, all right, I got to call, I got to do this, I got to deliver this appliance, I got to, whatever, it's not focusing us with that owner's mindset. And so, are we reviewing our KPIs daily? Do you have your KPIs set yet, Adam?
I do. They're actually sitting right next to me.
Ah,
I look at them every day when I write them down in my book. So I have a book right here, and I write everything down every night in it. So that I do have next to me. So I try to keep that up to date as good as I can.
and are you reviewing that in the morning? Are you reviewing that in the afternoon?
Usually at night when I put all the service calls for the day
Okay.
into it. I look at it. I keep a pretty close eye on it though. This week, I'm not doing very good because we've had people off. I've had to be in the store. Our service calls are way down the last 2 weeks. But hopefully I'll get those back up again if I can get back out on the road anytime soon.
Awesome. So for you, what has been the most enlightening part about reviewing those metrics on a daily basis? Like what patterns or problems has it kind of highlighted for you?
We've been able to jump on when we get a technician who has a lot of callbacks starting. We can get on that right away. We've been able to figure out that our cost of doing business wasn't equaling what we were charging. It helped us figure that problem out. It's helped us pattern our customers where our slow times and our busy times are. We can go back. I have them for, I think, 5 years now. So we can go back and we can look and we can get an idea. We were slow here this year, and we can kind of start patterning it better than just in the past. We knew we were slow here. We can kind of explain why it was that way now. We kind of change them as we go. We were tracking deliveries. I took them out of the KPIs. I'm thinking about putting deliveries back in because it's hard for me to know how many deliveries we're doing because my service techs do our deliveries too. So we were just because it was kind of goofing up our revenue, tracking our revenue for the service department having deliveries in there. But I'm thinking about going back and tracking those also now.
So historically, what is your slowest time of the year? We hear all over that, it's like December to like May or December to February, whatever. What is it actually for you based on what you're tracking?
So our slowest time of year starts right after Christmas time and ends normally right about April 15th when taxes come. Once tax season's done, it's usually just tax season that we're slow. Once taxes are done, we usually start picking up again. Our 3 slowest weeks of the year are Holy Week, around Easter for some reason. Then we have a slow week around when Lincoln High School graduates here in Manitowoc. It's the only public high school in town, so when they have graduation, everything in the city kind of stops. And then County Fair Week. Those are our 3 slowest weeks of the year. So County Fair Week, we are dead. Some days we wonder why we even open the door some weeks during County Fair Week. So some days.
I mean,
But
that might be a really good time to have the store shut down and go out to the
yep.
fairgrounds. Maybe you get a stall out there,
We did
so
that
it
a couple
really,
times, but that became a lot of extra work and a big headache that we didn't want to take on.
yeah.
It was just not very fun. So we did it, I think, for about 5 years and then we stopped.
So the other thing you could do is you could create a coupon code for that week, right?
Hmm.
Hey, county
Yep.
fair, create a coupon. I love that it highlights it. that's a perfect time. That week-long time is a perfect time for you to really hammer in that vision that you're missing.
Exactly.
So county fair
Yep.
time comes up. We know what Adam's doing this year, right?
Exactly.
Um,
Normally, I try to go fishing that week, so
well, I mean, you can fish
I
and
know I
create
can
a
go
vision
fishing. So
statement. You can create a
yeah,
vision
I guess I
statement
can
while you're
create the
fishing.
vision statement when I go fishing.
Those those Wisconsin lakes are nice and
Yeah, we have the big lakes, so we don't have a whole lot of little lakes around us. But the big lake fishing that isn't normally good until fall
yeah.
around here. So unless you have a boat and you can get way out, but there's plenty of other places I can go.
So we're also going to prioritize the high leverage tasks for the day, right?
Mhm.
We want to make sure we're doing the things that actually move the needle as owners. And that kind of goes back to we're not putting out the fires in the morning. We have to pay attention to what are the things that actually move the needle. And so through one of your KPIs as you were tracking, um, you were realizing you had technicians with callbacks. And
Yep.
so your high leverage task there was, hey, I'm going to train these guys up. I'm
Yep.
going to make sure that they have all the tools that they need um, to be successful in that, right?
Hmm.
And that kind of goes into one of the other points is that we're going to be coaching and not correcting on a daily
Yep.
basis, right? And that can be a really hard
That's a difficult
shift.
thing to do. Yep.
Yeah.
Especially if
Um,
you get a tech who isn't catching on. That's a hard thing to do.
yeah. So I love the book, The Coaching Habit. Doug and I have kind of talked about that before, and it kind of goes through some of the steps on how to kind of shift from that. Well, you need to do this and you need to do this into that. How do you really build someone up? How do you truly coach someone up to get better at what they're doing, to kind of bring out the best in them? Um, have you had any success in kind of coaching the guys versus just
So
telling them what they're doing wrong?
one guy ended up having the fire after looking at his KPIs because he just wasn't catching on. I didn't realize I was going back on every service call he was doing until I really sat down and started looking at them. And I realized that he hadn't completed a single service call. And I eventually had to go back and take care of every call he went on.
Oof.
So he just wasn't catching on. And same thing with deliveries. I ended up having to go back and fix every delivery he was doing. So we ended up letting the KPIs gave us grounds to let him go. The
Yeah.
other guy I was teaching, it allowed me to go back and I was able to sit down with him and say, "Yep, you're doing this wrong." We were able to pull the service ticket, explain to him what he was doing wrong, show him the best way of fixing it, and then teaching him. And he remembered. He did good. There was other reasons he's no longer with us, but the teaching part wasn't part of it.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yep.
It's and that's why tracking is so important, right? That's why
Yep.
it kind of matters. Um, we're also going to focus on owning our calendar, right? Um,
Yes.
we really have to put those important things on the
Yep.
calendar if they're actually important.
Yep.
Because if we don't put them on the calendar, then everything else kind of crowds itself
Yep. And
into
you end
our
up double
day.
booking things and forgetting to do stuff, and it just becomes a headache if you don't have a calendar.
Yep. So I'm going to encourage Adam this morning to put on his calendar as a rock um, a time to set his vision, right? His mission statement for the company.
Yes.
That way he has something to focus on daily. And the only way
Yep.
that gets done is if you put it on the calendar,
Yep.
right? If we say it's important, but we don't
If I don't
truly
write it down on
believe
the
it's
calendar, I'm
important.
going to forget all about it probably by the end of the day, and it won't get done.
Yep. Yep.
I
It
should
is.
actually pull the calendar out right now and write it down.
See? See? These are the things
Yep.
that are important. Um, so schedule
And I'm gonna make
time
myself a note right now.
on the topic of the calendar. We're going to schedule time for the business, not just time like in the business, right? Not just time doing the service calls, doing the deliveries, doing the bank run, doing this, doing that, right? We can get really busy doing things, um, and they don't move the needle, right? It's just that daily
Yep.
grind of doing things. And so we need to
Yep.
have intentional time to think, to plan, to develop systems, to develop new strategies, whatever. We have to
Yep.
truly have that time set aside, and we have to put it on our calendar. We have to own the
You have to
calendar
do
and
it.
set aside
Yep.
that time. Um, do you ask yourself, this is
Yes.
one of the other points, do you ask yourself daily what's broken? Oh no, I lost
I
Adam.
do not. Ooh,
There you
I
are.
got you, Zach. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Sorry about that. Our internet might be a little bit goofy because of the storms, but I apologize if you lose me.
It's all
I didn't
good.
lose you at all, so that's a good thing.
You're back.
um, I don't ask myself daily that question. Normally, the problems come to me, what needs to be fixed, or somebody comes to me and tells me what needs to be fixed, and then I try fixing it. So, we've had some issues with finances lately. That's been our big thing we've been trying to fix. But overall, I don't ask myself that question every day.
Hmm.
I probably
Is
should, but I don't.
there, so in your KPIs, are you beginning to see trends of broken things? Are you seeing trends of good things?
Um, so far, the trends of good things. One of the trends that we were able to spot is that our warranties, like, so we do a lot of work for just our customers. And I keep telling our office that we need to start doing other people's work too. We can't do just our customer, our little customer base inside. And that, with only having me as our primary tech, that gets us pretty backed up. As far as going back out on service calls sometimes. But by looking at the KPIs, I realized we're not making any money going back and taking care of just our customers.
Hmm.
We're not bringing in enough to cover the operating expenses of just the service department. So I realized that too over the past month or so, 2 months, that we're trying to bring up our profit so we can cover our expenses, because we haven't, so far this year, we haven't covered our profit for running our expenses for running the service department. I haven't hit yet a day where we've had a profitable service department this year. So
Yeah, so getting out and for you servicing other customers, servicing
mhm. Yep.
manufacturer stuff, or servicing
Yep,
even
like Samsung, GE.
even just cash calls, right? Like I'm sure
Yep.
there's
Well, we
plenty
do
of
a pretty good amount of cash calls. This week it's been mainly a lot of warranties, but usually we do more cash calls than warranties. So,
yeah.
and
So
to help
in
that too, we
I was
went with
gonna
a
say in
more of a flat rate pricing system now.
there you go.
So,
There you go. That was one
mhm.
of the things that you and I had kind of talked about is
Yep,
identifying the pricing pain points in your business. We kind of went
yep,
over how to set up a service call that at least covers the expense, maybe has a little extra in it, but
yep,
typically would just cover the expenses of it. And then you can begin to move into
yep,
how do we make each service call a more profitable um, thing.
exactly.
But you don't want to be losing money when you're running service
Yep,
calls. They need to at least be at the break even point, right?
yep.
And so that's one of the things that was broken in your business. And you might not ask yourself that daily, but it is a question
No,
that through tracking everything, you're able to kind of see.
exactly. Yep.
Um, so one of the other important habits is identifying and fixing inefficiencies and not just kind of making workarounds, right?
Yep.
So we want to find those things, and we find that through tracking. Maybe we're covering too big of a service area, or maybe we're not covering enough COD clients, or maybe we're not, whatever it is, right? Maybe we're not training the guys efficiently so that they can run
Yep.
profitable service calls. And so we find these inefficiencies, we recognize them, and then we take intentional steps to make them better.
Yep.
And that becomes a daily habit, really.
And the warranties are our biggest area right now where we have inefficiencies. And I know I have to negotiate that labor rate with our with Whirlpool, but it's a thing I've been putting off because November is going to come quick enough when I have to renegotiate it, and our service rep is terrible to deal with. So I am not looking forward to having to do that.
Yeah. And it can become a bigger, uglier thing if we don't just face it
Mhm.
right away. And so it is important to kind of fix those things as we
Yeah.
see them. Daily gratitude and reflection is
I
so important.
We try to
As
do that every day. We try to tell our employees how good they're doing. We try to reinforce them. If they're having a bad day, we try to boost them back up. To me, that's an important thing. I don't want morale to get low.
Right, right. Gratitude, it shifts the focus off of the bad and lets us see the good that is happening um, every day. And often when we get in a funk, it's because we continually focus on the things that are going wrong. But if we
Mhm.
take that intentional time to focus on the things that are going well, it really kind of moves that mood into a better place. So
And
it is.
everybody's going to have those times where you end up getting a week of 5 reworks and you think you're not doing good at it anymore. And it seems to happen every couple months.
Right.
Hmm.
Part of that is going to be keeping stress in check,
Yep.
and how we manage um, stress. That's different for everyone, right?
Yep.
Um, for me, another daily habit is my exercise routine. I don't go to the gym and lift heavy circles. My mind just isn't in the right place, right? That helps me manage the stress on life, right?
Yep.
Everyone has a different way of dealing with that, but we need to manage that stress. We need to keep it in check. Um, and it helps us to really stay in our purpose, and it helps us to be present as leaders. It can be hard when we're under stress to think clearly, to do the right thing.
Yep.
And so it is so important to keep that stress in check. Um,
When the owners are stressful, everybody is stressful.
It
So
does. It really permeates through the team. If we're stressed out, if we're angry, if we're upset, if we're in a negative mood, that goes through the whole team. And
yeah,
so it is really important to kind of keep that in check. Doug brings up from now to November could feel like a lifetime. That needs to be
it
maximized
can.
for revenue. So, like I said, don't avoid the hard conversations. It's a
Yep.
pain, but go
Yep.
and face those hard conversations head on.
Exactly.
Um, end the day with an intentional close, right? So look back on the day, and maybe that's when you practice your gratitude. Maybe that's when you do, like Adam, you check your KPIs, you see where you stand for the day. Be intentional about how you finish the day, not just how you start it, but how you finish it matters
Yep.
as well. Um, and it can also set you up for success for the next day, because you can look back and you can go, okay, this went really well. This didn't go so well. And maybe there's checklist items that you were hoping to get done that day and they just didn't get done.
Didn't get in.
Put them on the checklist for the next day and make sure you attack those early on, because
Hmm.
if they continue to fester, they're going to cause problems,
Yep.
right? So we want to be intentional, not just with starting our day, but also with
Ending it.
finishing. You know, what moved the needle today? What needs to shift tomorrow? How do we focus on our business without drifting from thing to thing to thing, right? Guys with ADHD, girls with ADHD like myself, like it's really easy to just kind of get ping-ponged around
Hmm.
in everything. And so
That's how
how do
I feel I
we
do every day. I get one thing and then somebody pulls me away to something else, and then I get pulled away to something else, and there's never time they actually finish anything.
yeah. So how are we going to be intentional about moving the needle in the right direction each day without just getting ping-ponged around? Um it comes with setting up that time at the end of the day, doing the intentional close to figure out what still needs to be done, what we could have done better, right? It's lasering in on that. Um, for you, Adam, we kind of covered a bunch of daily habits.
Yep.
2 questions. What is your strongest daily habit right now? And what is your weakest daily habit as an owner right now?
Um, my weakest daily habit is probably not having a regular routine. Because my schedule is basically trying to get as many service calls done as I can, and then getting back here and taking care of as much stuff that they have sitting on my desk for me to take care of. So I don't have a regular routine where I go and I check this and I check that and I check this. So that I would have to say is my weakest part. Probably my KPI book is our strongest because I do try to keep that up to date as much as possible.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So do you have steps in place to kind of work on your weakness? Have you thought about that? Have you
Um, my wife got me a calendar book so I can open it up and I can see the entire month at one time. So I just put down everything that's going on. So in the morning I can open it up and see what the day has in store. Um, I I I'm trying to get our computer program that we use for scheduling back in place the way it needs to be so that we can just use that instead of our schedule board for so much scheduling stuff. Um, Other than that, I don't really have a whole lot of plans in place to fix it. I just kind of take it as it comes.
yeah. And do you feel like the things that you have plans in place for, you're actually able to achieve as you make the plans, or is it just
It's
kind of
better
like,
now that I'm keeping a calendar every day and I'm not forgetting things and I'm not getting phone calls at 4 o'clock from my wife saying, "You need to be here tonight. Did you get this done today? Did you do that today? Did you stop here today when you were out doing calls?" And I realized I didn't do any of the things she wanted me to do, and I made other plans over what we had to get done that night. And since I started using the calendar, things are getting a lot easier.
that's awesome.
Yep.
That's awesome. I love hearing that. Um, Eric, by going to the freaking gym, he keeps me in line, man. We send, Facebook reels back and forth, just encouraging each other, get our butts to the gym, go do the hard thing. Because we know for both of us, it kind of helps us focus. It helps manage that stress. So yeah, I mean,
I
that
go cut
could,
firewood instead of going to the gym.
there you go. There you go.
Yep.
Get some motion in the day. It does make a huge difference.
I got plenty of trees to cut, so
There you go. There you go. Well, another habit that you guys can get into is being a part of the monthly mastermind,
yep.
servicealliancegroup.com, all access members. It's free. I've spent the week putting everything together. I spent an entire month kind of creating the sales negotiation class. And I spent this week kind of putting everything together. So I'm excited for tomorrow morning, talking about sales negotiation. We're going to do some role playing. So if you're there, you're going to get a chance to kind of work through some of these customer pain points that we all run into, whether it's pricing or actually wanting to replace or repair the appliance. We're going to kind of do some role playing with that. So
that's an interesting conversation that we all find ourselves in every single day.
That's why I'm so excited about this one. It is something that every single one of us, whether we're technicians, CSRs, owners, whatever, we're in this conversation every day. So I'm really excited for this class tomorrow. I'm excited for you guys to role play.
And it's a conversation that a lot of guys have a hard time doing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I say it all the time. You guys are all salesmen. Whether you like it or not, you're salesmen. And so getting better at the craft is only going to make everything better. Right.
I tell my guys, you got 15 minutes to sell a new appliance to a customer when you tell them their old one isn't worth fixing. And I tell them you got 15 minutes to convince them to come by us to buy the new one. And if you can't do it in 15 minutes, we're going to lose them to the box stores.
Do you guys do any role playing with that?
We don't, and I probably should. But I'm lucky because the guy, the service tech guy I'm training right now, he's a people person. So awesome. He can talk to people pretty easily. So he was a cop at one time. So nice. He can do a really good job talking to people.
That's awesome. Well, we're going to hopefully give you some role-playing techniques to help him close those sales or close those repairs even better tomorrow. And the other one I want to bring up here, I'm going to put a banner up here, appliancerepairconference.com. We have partnered up with PSA, Professional Servicers Association. We're going to be teaching a bunch of classes out there in September, right, out in Las Vegas. And so appliancerepairconference.com, head on over there, check out all the details. Mike put together a really good site to kind of give you some information on what this conference is going to look like. Doesn't matter if you're a technician, a business owner, this is a great conference to go to because it's for everyone. They have so much for everyone that is in appliance service and sales. So appliancerepairconference.com, use code SAG50 and that will give you a little bit of a discount on your tickets. So go ahead and check that out, appliancerepairconference.com.
I was planning on going, and then we looked at our calendar and realized that's the week we're moving into our new house. So my wife said not this year.
Well, we'll miss you, buddy. We'll miss you.
I've never gone to any of those conferences before. So me and my wife were going to go to this one to make it our first one. And but it isn't going to happen this year.
Well, we'll catch you next year because we're going to be doing it again.
Yeah,
we'll be doing it again. So, well, guys, hopefully that kind of helped, gave you some daily habits to work on as owners, as lead technicians, the things that we need to do daily to lead our teams better. Adam, it's always fun to talk with you. Glad I could come on with you.
Yes, Zach, it's always fun to talk to you too.
All right, guys, you have a good weekend. Get rested up.
We'll see everybody tomorrow.
Doug and I will see you on Monday. And if you're an All Access member, we'll see you tomorrow morning. Have a good weekend, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in to the Morning Grind podcast by Service Alliance Group. Subscribe to our channel and make sure you visit our website at servicealliancegroup.com for appliance repair business resources.